You, all of you, put down your bags. You're carrying our gear now." A murmur rippled through the crowd, shoulders tensed, fists clenched. But then, a quiet voice cut through the anger. Their rabbi's voice. "Do as he says." The men exhaled, their defiance cooling into reluctant obedience. One by one, they lifted the soldiers' packs, the weight pressing into their backs like shame. "This is humiliating," muttered Levi, his knuckles white around the strap of a Roman helmet. "We follow the law," another replied, though his voice trembled. 1 mile, no more." The soldiers smirked, shoving a bundle into the arms of an older man. "Hurry up, rats, rats with fancy hats." Then something unexpected happened. Simon, a burly fisherman, stepped forward and took the centurion's own pack from his hands. "Let me carry that for you," he said, his voice steady. "You shouldn't have to." The Roman blinked. "There's no reason it should be on my head instead of yours." Simon met his eyes. "We both know that's not really true." A flicker of confusion crossed the soldier's face. Then, grudgingly, something like respect. "Thanks." The other Jews watched, stunned. One whispered, "I've done this before. It never gets easier." Another, younger man, picked up a discarded shield. "Whose stuff is this? Come on." The rabbi walked among them, his presence a silent command. A disciple tugged his sleeve. "Master, why are we doing this? Why help them?" The rabbi smiled faintly. "Where did we first meet?" "By the Sherman and Corrine plain," the disciple answered. "Good. Then remember my message." As the group neared the stone marker, the end of the mandated mile, the soldiers tensed, expecting defiance. Instead, the Jews kept walking. "Stop here," the centurion ordered. Simon shook his head. "The outpost is still a mile ahead. The law only requires one." "The law doesn't forbid going further," the rabbi said softly. "If anyone asks, tell them we offered." The Romans fell silent. This wasn't submission. It was something they'd never seen before. A choice. One soldier, younger than the rest, muttered, "Maybe we should take back the helmets, so there's no confusion when we arrive." The rabbi nodded. "If someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him too." And as the unlikely procession continued, the weight on their backs felt lighter than before. The sun hung heavy over the Judean road, its relentless heat pressing down on the dusty path where Roman boots had worn deep grooves into the earth. A detachment of soldiers moved in formation, their segmented armor flashing like knives in the light, their laughter carrying farther than their footsteps. At the roadside, a group of Jewish men stood frozen, their postures stiff with the quiet fury of the conquered. The centurion, a broad-shouldered man with a scar cutting across his chin, halted his men with a raised fist. His eyes swept over the locals, and his lip curled. "You!" he barked, jabbing a finger at them. "All of you, put down whatever you're carrying. You'll be bearing our gear the rest of the way." A ripple of anger passed through the Jews. Hands twitched toward hidden knives, shoulders tensed. But before any could speak, a voice cut through the tension, soft, but impossible to ignore. "Do as he says." The men turned. Their rabbi stood among them, his face unreadable. Levi, a wiry man with fire in his eyes, hissed, "This is humiliation." "It is the law," another muttered, though his jaw clenched as he said it. "They can force us 1 mile, no more." The soldiers grinned, enjoying the spectacle. One legionary, a thick-necked brute with a missing front tooth, shoved a heavy pack into the arms of an elderly scholar. "Move faster, little rat, or do you need your rabbi to hold your hand?" The old man staggered under the weight. Before he could fall, Simon, a fisherman whose hands were more used to hauling nets than Roman supplies, stepped forward and took the burden from him. "Here," Simon said, his voice rough but firm. "Let me." The soldier blinked. "You volunteering?" Simon met his gaze. "I'm carrying it. Does it matter why?" The Roman snorted but didn't stop him. Nearby, a younger disciple, Matthias, lifted a legionary's helmet with trembling hands. The metal was still warm from the soldier's sweat. He swallowed hard, fighting the urge to fling it into the dirt. "I've done this before," muttered Josiah, a merchant who had lost half his stock to Roman taxes. "It never gets easier." Matthias glanced at the rabbi, who walked calmly beside them, his own arms empty. "Master," he whispered, "why are we doing this? Why help them?" The rabbi didn't answer immediately. Instead, he asked, "Where did we first meet, Matthias?" The disciple frowned. "By the Sherman and Corrine plain. You were speaking about the kingdom. And what did I say?" Matthias hesitated. "You said, 'The last shall be first.'" The rabbi nodded. "Remember that." Ahead, the road stretched onward, baking under the sun. The soldiers marched with the easy arrogance of men who had never known defeat. But something was shifting. One of the legionaries, a younger recruit with a face still soft from youth, glanced back at the Jews carrying their gear. His expression flickered. "You don't have to do this," he muttered to no one in particular. Simon, hefting the centurion's pack, shot him a look. "Yes, we do." The recruit opened his mouth, then closed it. As they neared the mile marker, a worn stone jutting from the earth, the centurion called a halt. "That's far enough. Drop our gear." The Jews paused. Then, without a word, they kept walking. The centurion's brow furrowed. "I said stop." Simon adjusted the pack on his shoulders. "The outpost is still a mile ahead. The law only requires one." "The law doesn't forbid a second," the rabbi said. For a long moment the soldiers stared. This wasn't resistance. It wasn't surrender. It was something else entirely. The young recruit stepped forward. "Let them come," he said quietly. "If they want to." The centurion's eyes narrowed. Then, with a grunt, he waved them on. The rest of the march passed in silence. No one jeered. No one laughed. When they reached the outpost, the Jews set down the gear with care. The centurion watched them, his face unreadable. "Why?" he finally asked. The rabbi smiled. "Because if someone forces you to go 1 mile, you should go with him too." The soldiers exchanged glances. The recruit looked down at high